Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotton. We have a special guest today, Miss Andrea Wilde. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm
Absolutely.
stoked to be here.
Absolutely. So glad to have you on. To start us off, we'll just kind of dive into your story, where you're from, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
So if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, sure. So Andrea Wilde, grew up in Portland, Oregon. Came to Utah, went to Utah State to get my degree in business. I actually came here because I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. That was one of the only schools that offered that as a degree, and I know that sounds really weird, but I wanted to get my degree, and I was like, entrepreneurship, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14. And so, I just kind of came here for that. I did hair for 10 years. I did Mary Kay for 10 years, earned a couple of cars with that, so did multi-level marketing for that. I've owned all sorts of businesses, a window cleaning company, so I get windows in a little bit of a way, and Christmas lights and spray tanning and like all sorts of businesses.
Got your hands in everything a little bit.
Airbnbs.
I know. I heard you say that you were an entrepreneur since you were 14. What was your first business adventure?
Yeah, my first business was I did a lot of babysitting throughout the school year, just make a little bit of extra money. And then I decided to do a kids camp in the summer, and I actually made such good money. I made like $500 a week as a 14-year-old, but it was like 3 hours a day. I did this little, I'd have different themes for the days and all the things for the kids, and the moms were stoked because they could drop their kids off in the summer. And I hired my sister. I took out a loan from my parents, and had the whole like permission slip thing so they could jump on the trampoline and all the things. And so now, fast forwarding to what I do now, it's actually kind of similar because I put on events and girls' nights and retreats and coaching and all of this stuff for women in Utah. And so it's funny to see how it's kind of come full circle, just a little bit more elevated now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As far as like your parents and stuff like that, are they entrepreneurs or totally different, and you just caught wind somewhere to want to be that? Or?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I would say now they're more entrepreneurial. I don't know if I have something to do with that or not, but my dad was a mechanical engineer, worked at Intel for 30 years. And then my mom was a stay-at-home mom, raised 6 children. So it was a very traditional lifestyle. But I think what led me to be entrepreneurial was they were very like, well, if you want to, they didn't just give us things, I mean, we were very blessed, but they were like, oh, you got to earn that. And I was like, oh, how do I earn money? And then once I started earning money, I was like, this is a fun game, And so I think because of the way I was raised, kind of made me like, oh, I want to earn my own money. This is exciting.
It's really cool to do. Most people, entrepreneur stories, you hear college dropouts, all that kinds of stuff. Yeah. That's like my story is I went to college for 5 years and didn't graduate because I realized I didn't want to work in healthcare.
Yes.
It's like, it was kind of like one of those stories, but never graduated college, no value from college. Whereas you're 14 years old, you actually kind of knew what you wanted to do and went to school for the right thing and did it the right way. Yeah. Would you say that you, we always hear entrepreneurs, they get the knowledge of running a business from the experience. Yeah. Would you say that going to college for business, it actually helped you a lot in your day-to-day?
No, I would say it didn't. It's funny because, so I went for entrepreneurship. And then like 6 months in, I met with my school counselor, and she's like, okay, she's looking at the computer. She's like, okay, it looks like you're going for business administration. And I was like, oh no, my degree or, my major is entrepreneurship. She's like, oh shoot, Andrea, I forgot to tell you. They discontinued that. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. I'm like, okay, literally, like, I came here because of that. And so I'm glad that it got me there because I met my best friends there and my husband and all the things. But I just kind of did it to complete my degree, and I was raised that education was really important that way. And so I'm glad that I got my degree in the people I met there and the experiences that I had. But I was just I was on the golf course yesterday, and I was talking to one of the guys, he's in sales, and I didn't know them, you know. He's door to door, and he's like, I'm trying to decide if I should go to school or not. And I was like, I'm not really the one to ask, because I'm probably going to tell you to not do school if you know you want to do entrepreneurship. It's like school has a place if you want to be a doctor, an engineer, like something like that, but the best degree is just doing the business, right? And getting the experience that way. So I agree with you.
Yeah, that is funny because it was a different story because you actually went for the right thing.
Yeah.
Like for me, I thought health systems management was going to be my
your go-to.
But going into college, like I joined the Army National Guard. I had no clue where I was going to go. So it just one thing led to another, and now we're here.
Dang, yes.
But I want to kind of get into some of all these different sales roles that you've worked in. So have you knocked doors yourself?
No, I haven't.
With the window cleaning, I was like, maybe she knocked doors, but kind of go into the sales that you've experienced.
Yeah. So I actually think of sales when I'm working with a client, because I do business coaching now. Have you guys heard of Dream 100? I don't know if you've heard of that. The idea being that if I were to go fishing in the ocean, for example, and I just like throw my line in, you're just hoping to get, you know, a catch. And if you're going to go fishing in barrels of fish, of course you're going to catch one. You know, there's no way you're not going to. So when I teach most businesses that I coach on, I teach you want to find other people that have those barrels of fish already gathered for you, instead of just like hoping that you're going to catch something in the ocean. So I think door to door is really great for like what you guys do with windows, because you know that every single house has windows.
I tell people that all the time.
But
I'm like, show me one.
Yeah, you're like,
no
show me where there's no windows. Yeah. But there are a lot of businesses out there where the door to door system wouldn't work, and you need to find people who are already gathering your ideal audience. And I would say for every business I've been in, door to door wouldn't be a good fit. And even with the window cleaning, we actually bought a couple of businesses that already had customers going.
Leads. And
that's kind of the route we went with referrals, like, hey, we're already here. So in a way, we kind of did Dream 100, where you're like, okay, we're already here working on this one. You guys are in charge of knocking this door and this door and this door, to just say, hey, we're already here. Would you like us to, you know, take care of your windows? We'll give it to you at a discount, kind of thing. Yeah. And so Dream 100 is just making a list of exact people who already have your ideal client in front of them. So yeah, that's something that is one of the very first things I teach people when they're getting their business started, is to think through, you know, instead of finding the one, you're finding the barrels of fish.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what we teach our people. It's like whether it's success in business, or, you know, getting in shape, or, you know, me personally, I don't need to go figure it out from scratch.
Yes.
There's books on it.
Yes.
There's podcasts. There's ChatGPT.
Totally.
There's so many ways that you can do it, but it's finding the systems that are already in place and really replicating that.
Totally.
So that's a good analogy that we can even start to use on some of our people. You know, just a new vision.
Totally.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, one thing that I can definitely relate with you, and whenever he met, I actually owned a company, a lawn and pressure washing company. But
awesome.
Backstory to whenever I was in middle school, right, didn't have a license or anything like that. I had the bright idea. I was like, kind of like you, like my parents were like, you know, you can have that, but you got to find a way to pay for it. Yeah, you got to, you know, figure it out. So literally we had four-wheelers and stuff, and I lived in a neighborhood, and we went and passed out flyers to all of our people. Yes. So we were a neighborhood lawn care, and we would pull up on the four-wheeler with a lawnmower in the back, and we'd cut the grass, you know, $30-$40. Yes. But kind of basing off of what Cotton's question was, like those previous business experiences as a young child, I would say really teed me up to be able to start understanding like how money works. You know what I mean? How can you build a business, even though it was such a smaller scale? Whenever you're able to get into the real world, we call it, you know, you're really able to scale it and, you know, accomplish way more.
And those principles are still the same, whether they're small or big.
And like you said, don't reinvent the wheel, just replicate it. You know, that's something that we preach all the time. What would you say is some of your biggest skill sets to maybe, you know, help you achieve the success that you already had?
I would say creativity is one of the like biggest God-given gifts that I've received, where it's either helping my own business or, you know, businesses of my clients, where it's like just thinking outside of the box, like what do people really want, and also how could we like take it to the next level. I don't know if you guys have read this book. It's called The Power of Moments. But it's really cool because it's helping. I use it a lot with clients, saying like, what kind of culture do you want to build, especially around your business? And it just talks about like Disneyland, for example. Right. You're like, it's kind of a miserable experience if you think about it, like getting there, especially with kids, and you know, you have all that, you're getting up early and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you know, everyone's hot and tired and have been standing all day, all these things. But Disney has done such a great job to create this whole experience that's what you're focused on. And so I think any business, you know, we were talking about your guys' other business you have going on before this, but like what little things could you do to make it like that creative touch, or make people, it's almost the Instagram moments, I think, where it's like, how could you do this just a little bit different or a little bit better? And I think of Maverick, for example, here in Utah, like every other gas station is like the worst experience. Yeah. It's disgusting. Like you hate it. It's terrible, right? But Maverick, like they have really clean bathrooms. They, you know, it's a whole experience when you go in there. It's like, it wasn't that hard to stand out from your competition of just like basic needs of what people want to do. Right. And so I think that's one thing I'm really good at, is each individual business. Like, how could we make this a totally better experience and have fun with it?
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel like everybody has that skill set deep down and they just don't take action on it? Like, what do you think differentiates your, you know, maybe, you know, us and other people that haven't taken that next step?
Yeah. I think, have you guys read Who Not How? That book?
You've got some good recommendations.
Sorry,
normally people are spitting things out that are really like we've read. Yes, but these are different. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a list for you guys after, but that one's really good. But it's talking about oftentimes as leaders, you think you have to be good at everything, right? And you're like, these are, you know, I have to be the best at this. But in this book, it talks about hiring the right who is the one that knows how to do what you need to do. So you as a visionary, you're in charge of the what and the why, the vision, the, you know, what's happening, but then you can hire the right who to make the hows happen. And so I don't think everyone has that same, I think you could polish that skill set, but I think that could be something that you're born with. But if you're not naturally born with that, or it's not enjoyable to you, you can hire someone who's really good at that. Yeah. And that's what I think what creates a really great leader, is that you're looking around and like, what am I really good at? What am I not really good at? What do I enjoy? What do I not enjoy? And then hire appropriately to actually like take this to a much bigger vision than just you on your own.
Yeah. I'd like to read that book because it kind of relates to, I read a book by Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time.
Oh, so
and
good.
It's kind of the same type of philosophy of when someone's doing 80% of what you can do, it's time to focus on the next bigger problem. So what was the name of that book though?
Who Not How.
Who Not How. Okay. So I like getting new recommendations because before doing anything door-to-door sales related, I don't think I've ever picked up a book and read a book.
Totally. Oh my gosh.
But getting into this industry and, you know, entrepreneurship in general, if you're not growing, you're shrinking.
100%.
So, like, it's like a non-negotiable. Get in the car, Audible has to come on. So
totally.
That's
and it's
good.
fun to be able to talk to people about like, hey, what are you reading right now? What's, you know?
Yeah, all of our market owners there. It's like, I just finished this book. This is what I learned. It's kind of like a little book club. Totally. But it's, you know, it's coming back to you are who you surround yourself with. You know,
100%.
It's choice to find this type of people.
Totally. Yeah.
As far as the coaching group that you have, so that's the most recent entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of insight about what that looks like and who you work with and how you got started in it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you all the things. So it's called the Live Big Collective. So we just hit our 4-year birthday, I guess.
Awesome.
And the 3 years previous to that, it was a group called Live Big Little Girl, and I coached women and men, but mostly women all over the country, and I would help them through different transition periods of their life. And then a few years ago, I went to this conference in Utah. It's called the MW3 conference. And I was sitting there, and I don't know if it was a God thing, just like highlight this, focus on this, like, oh, this is coming up again. But we had several of the speakers just kept talking about what an influence their wife had on them individually. And just like the reason they're there today with the success that they have, like that's why they're there.
Yeah.
And I just kept being like, man, like, where are all the wives right now? Like, they're home with the kids, or they're like supporting these men, because I'm used to being, 5 to 10% of women at these business conferences.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all these women are supporting these men that are sitting here, because I know how much my husband has supported me in my entrepreneurial journey. And I'm just like, man. And it just kept whispering over the next couple months that, like, I needed to hone in, and my niche needed to be wives of successful entrepreneurs, specifically in Utah. Yeah. So I literally burned my business to the ground of being like, okay, God, like, I guess this is what I'm doing, And I just felt like I've done all these big trips. We've gone to Disneyland and Destin, Florida, and Costa Rica, and done all these trips everywhere, and everyone just becomes so tight-knit in person. And then the girls that would come back to Utah, they'd be close, and take their kids to the park or start a new business, and everyone would be supporting them or whatever. But it was like all these women that were all over the country, they were by themselves, and I was like, oh, I think I need to start this in-person
One thing just on that, and I do want to hear more on it, but I feel like because of, like, even me and Dakota's role, like, I see that the females in our industry, they start to get a more entrepreneurial vibe.
Yes.
Is that something that's pretty common?
Yes.
Once they get in this group,
yes.
they're like, what is
they're
my
like,
business?
Wait, this is really cool. Like, I love this. Or, like, I always thought that was my husband's thing. Like, I've always kind of had this idea, like, maybe I should do it,
and I keep telling Caitlin, even if it's like TikTok or something,
totally.
I'm like, do it.
Do something that uses your brain
group.
Yes, exactly.
I like that.
And so it's been really fun, because I do it mainly for wives of entrepreneurs now. That's like our niche. But it's funny how the percentages change oftentimes. Like, they'll come in, and then they'll be the entrepreneur as well. And we attract a lot of female entrepreneurs as well. But yeah, that was kind of those whisperings kind of came to be. And then I just was like, okay, I think I need to do this. So yeah, burned it to the ground. And then in January, we relaunched. And what it looks like now is I have all these different coaches that are topics that these women are interested in. So parenting, fitness and macros, spirituality and mindset, budgeting, body love, and then I'm the life as an entrepreneur coach.
Yeah.
And so it's been really cool to just see these women come in, and they get access to these different, coaching topics. But then we also do girls' nights and retreats. So we actually have our next fall retreat is up in Bear Lake here in Utah.
Nice.
In a couple of weeks. And so we do 2 of those a year. And anyway, it's super fun to be able to, it's more community-based, where we're there to actually be like, I get it. I get what this life is like. And a lot of women out there, if their wives are entrepreneurs, I'm sure Caitlin feels this way, where you're like, oh, this needs to be like a thing that is just me and my husband, because my friends or my family don't get what this life is like.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you feel like you're bragging and
calling
things
her
go
mom,
really well.
Getting on those phone calls, it always turns in, it'll get sour.
And so you're like, okay, well, it's either bragging or like your hardships are like, well, but you have money, so you shouldn't be like complaining. And it's like, okay, well, then I'm just gonna like keep to myself, and it gets really lonely at the top, right?
It really does.
So I try to gather women who like really get what this life is like. And it's cool because then the husbands become friends too, and it's like all these families are growing in totally different ways, I think, because everyone has support for each other, and these couples are growing as couples. And
I see tons of value in it. My curiosity is this, did you ever have like a mentor going into this, or it was just like this is my purpose?
It's been so interesting, because I would say my biggest mentor is God. Like, I kept looking horizontally for like someone who had done something like this, and I'm like, I will pay them so much money to like cut in line, right? And like, because that's what I've done in all my other businesses. Like, you hire the coach, you go to the conferences, you do whatever, but like I cannot find anything like this anywhere in the country. And so I've had to go vertically and just say, okay, God, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And it's been really cool because I think new ideas and perspectives, like we were talking about earlier, creativity has come because it's like, this is me, this is us, this is just what we're doing. So trying to be aligned with like what feels good in my gut,
Yeah.
in my heart.
Yeah.
One thing that we had written down was in regards to like your couples goal setting and how you do the framework.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on what that looks like in practice?
Yeah, totally. So I brought my husband on, and we do these couples goal setting workshops. And actually this month we're focusing on summer sales.
Oh, cool.
Specifically couples so that we can help them. But it's been really interesting because I've taught this framework for years in my coaching, but it's been really cool to like, I think the women are like, oh, this is super awesome. But the men especially have been like, I've never seen goal setting like this. Like, this is so great. And I would say one of the differentiating factors, which we teach like a 3-hour date night, it's super fun and stuff, but to like narrow it down, is oftentimes people focus on the habit being their goal instead of the actual goal. So for example, if someone's like, in January everyone's coming up with their goals and they forget them by February or March, right? But the common one I hear is like, I'm gonna work out 5 days a week. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome, but that's not actually a goal. That's a habit. So what's your goal? Like, do you want to do a certain amount of pull-ups? Do you want to run a race? Do you want to be able to run this many minute mile? Do you want to do the splits? Do you want, like, what's your thing? So that way you actually have something to work toward. And I do 90-day goals instead of a whole year, because hopefully you're a totally different person.
I feel like those deadlines are crucial.
Yes, totally.
We do deadline. We call it a 60-day sacrifice.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
The deadline is, we always say, I like the motto of, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your bedroom, it'll take you 30 days. But 30 minutes, you can do it in 30 minutes. So
totally.
we kind of draw that analogy for our salespeople all the time. So
which is so huge. And what's that called? Isn't it called Parkinson's law or something like that? Yeah, I think. But yeah, that same idea where it's like, give yourself a deadline and something to work toward and make sure that's the goal, and then the habit supports the goal. And then I think the two other parts to that are having a strong intention. Like we always talk about your why, but your intention, your habit, your intention, your goal, your habit, and then a reward. Oftentimes as high achievers, we don't do rewards. And we do for our people, right? Because you see how it motivates them, but for ourselves, sometimes we don't do that. And so that's kind of the framework that we do. But there's something about paying money to say, I'm going to show up to this date night and this workshop and actually do it. And then we have fun systems and trackers and, all the things. And then when you and your spouse are on board, it makes such a big difference, because you're like holding each other accountable in a healthy way versus like, hey, you're not doing this or whatever. And then we have support to help couples. And anyway.
Yeah. One thing that we always bring to light in our industry is like, if your spouse is not on the same wavelength as you, 100%. Then we've seen it time and time again where people leave the company. She will be the
reason that you lose this.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. You lose the opportunity. Do you have people that come into your program that maybe are on the verge of that you're able to rebuild the vision and make them buy into it?
Totally, yeah.
What are some of the biggest traits that you see? Maybe that's even making them be so rejective to it.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I would say two answers to that. One is I teach a lot on like your mindset. And have you guys heard of CTFAR model? No? So it's the idea that like you could have the same circumstance and you can have an unhealthy model or a healthy model. So without, I need like a whole board and all the things. Right. But without all of that, the C is circumstance. The next one is T for thoughts. And your thoughts affect your feelings 100%. So I'll give you an example of this. sorry, this will be a tangent, but I promise it will come back. The book Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't know if you guys have read that one. It's the worst title ever. It makes no one want to read that book, but it's such a good book. But he talks about, okay, you're like, let's say you're in the forest and a bear is chasing after you. You could easily be like, I didn't choose for my heart to start racing and my muscles to soup up and me to have like fight or flight and, you know, engage in that. But what if that bear was actually a human in a bear costume? Like, you thought it was a bear, so that's what made that happen. Or what if you didn't even see the bear? Your body doesn't have a reaction unless you go, oh my gosh, that's a bear, and right? And so it shows you that, like, yes, your brain is super fast and can respond really fast, but it's all in your thoughts. So I teach both the men that I coach about their wives and the wives that it's like you get to choose how you feel about the certain circumstance. So, for example, if they're struggling with the idea of their husband being on the phone all the time, I'm like, okay, this is part of, like, if you're in sales, especially, you're on the phone all the time. I always teach this where I'm like, okay, if Shane and I are out with the kids and we're out having ice cream or something, and he has to take a call, instead of me being like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, like, look, we're having family time, whatever, I think, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m., we're all together as a family and he takes a 5-minute call so that we can all be here. That creates a totally different experience for myself. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on over there. I get to choose how I feel about my own thoughts and my own feelings. And from that point, I get to have a totally different result, you know, which is action and result. So then I show up differently when he comes back. If I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's so annoying, he just took that call, then my body language is like turned off to him. I'm like annoyed, I'm like sweaty, I'm mad, you know, or I'm like, hey babe, like, how'd your call go, you know? And so I think there's like certain things that you can teach the supporters, whether it's the husband or wife, whoever the entrepreneur is. But then there's also things that we can talk about for, like, the husband, for example. It's like, what things can he do to make sure that she feels supported and seen and loved so that you guys are rising together in this empire that you're building, and you can each own, like, those roles and responsibilities that you're like, I feel really great about this, that we're on the same team facing something versus... I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like an intentional thing. For us in sales, it's always like, I'm a one-liner guy.
Yes,
I love one-liners. But like there's this motto of where your mindset goes, your energy flows.
Energy flows,
so
totally.
When you're on the door and if I'm looking at no soliciting sign, well, guess what I'm waiting for? I'm
You're
waiting
like,
for the homeowner to come out, no soliciting, you know. But if
totally.
I'm walking up and I'm like, look at these beautiful flowers. This is such a nice house. You know,
like, so
I didn't even notice it, you know, but it's
totally.
the same stuff that we train. But are there, or for exercises, do you have exercises that you refer people to, or is it more of like it takes practice to master this type of thing?
Yeah, it kind of depends. I would say because when the woman comes in as a member, so it's a 6-month experience, and then it's month to month after that.
Yeah.
But when she comes in, it depends what she's like really trying to work on. Because sometimes women are totally fine with their husbands doing what they're doing and they don't have an issue with something like that. And they're like, I just want to be around other women who aren't talking about people. They're talking about ideas. They're, you know, or people who can relate to my lifestyle.
I can see that helping out tremendously, just getting in the right room.
Yes.
For us in sales, like I'm always just like, take a cold shower in the morning.
Yes.
You're choosing to put yourself under pressure, and then your body has to learn how to adapt. You know, but like with a spouse, like, because I'm thinking like, how can I get? Because Caitlin, me and him, I'll get home and she's like, if you're on the phone with Dakota, don't come in the door.
Don't come in the door.
Stay in the garage, you know.
Totally, yes.
So it's like good to kind of implement, you know, different ideas, but maybe just changing the group who she gets to be around.
Yeah, because I think, like, we do have the coaching and stuff like that, but I almost think the community is almost more valuable because, yes, in coaching we can work on certain mindset things, you know, and we have trainings multiple times a month and stuff like that, and that does make a difference. But I think it is like Caitlin talking to another wife that's like, yes, and you know what has worked for us is I just told him, like, hey, if you and Dakota are on the phone, if you could just wait in the garage so that when you come in, you know, and they're like, oh my gosh, maybe I should do that. Like, that would be a good boundary for us.
Sitting in the garage and then come in, it's like, hey, let's hug the kids and stuff. But if not, it's like walking upstairs.
You're like, oh, hi, you know, So I think there's even more of that stuff where it's like, oh, that's actually what's worked really well for us. And another part of our culture is we don't bash our husbands. We don't bash anyone. We don't talk bad about anyone. The only time we're talking about someone else is because we're like, don't you just love them? Like, they're the best, or I love this about them. And so I think it just breeds the opportunity to focus on, you know, those thoughts and feelings that we want to feel about our spouses and that we want to feel about ourselves and our homes, and create a space that feels super aligned with our vision, both sides.
It's just got to be a choice, you know.
Totally.
You know, success is a choice. You know, misery loves company. So if you want to talk about negative, it's going to bring people down.
It totally is. Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
All right. So, anything else you got, Dakota?
I think that's about it. I liked it. I like. How would if somebody was to want to join the program, how would they go about that?
So on Instagram is probably the best way, just at the Live Big Collective. But if anyone's interested in those workshops too, it's the livebigcollective.com/date night. So they can see when our next one is. And that one's virtual, so anyone can be anywhere in the country if they want to, like, surprise their wife or husband and say, hey, we're doing this date night together. We're doing once a month. So
heck yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on. You got a great story for sure. And is there any last words you would like to say?
No, I just think this...
Shout out to your awesome husband.
Yeah, literally. Like, it's a whole thing. I guess I do have one more thing to say. Something this year that has really deeply affected me was this study that said that if you look at generational wealth in the next, like, 2 to 3 generations, the reason why it was successful or not successful has to do with a strong matriarch. And when I heard that, I got goosebumps all over my whole body. It took my, like, vision of what I'm doing right now to so much deeper that it's like these women make it is such a big deal. And so whether you're not married and you're trying to find that right person, or you are married and you have found that person, it's so important for her self-development for this generations to come. And so that's, like, really my passion, and where I'm headed with this is I really want to help create strong matriarchs within the home so that it's not just financial wealth for generations to come. It's health, relationships, time, the other aspects of wealth too. It makes a really big difference. So, and shout out to my husband.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on for sure. And thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.